Good afternoon, Bruce.
Hey, is this Steve?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I was looking at my calendar, and I forgot to change. I was having you on at 1:15.
Oh, I see.
Perfect. No, that's fine, because I was telling everybody we're going to have you on at 1:15, and then I looked at my email from you, and I had 2:15. At any rate, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a real pleasure to be here. I would say, in my opinion, this is probably in the top 2 or 3 shows on Ustream for business, so it's really a pleasure to be on here today.
Well, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we had to shut down Wirecast today, our software that we use. We were having a lot of audio problems with it, so we're going to be working with tech support to get that cured up today.
Gotcha.
But we're running on good old Cam Twist as our backup, and it seems to be doing just fine.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Steve, to get started, can you tell us a little bit about Blam? That is the name of your company, is it Blam?
Yeah, well, Blam's the acronym for Big Local Advertising and Marketing, and I think most of our clients are referring to us as Big Local these days. But yeah, Blam, Big Local, it's all the same thing. What we are is a search marketing company who specializes in placing businesses on the first page of Google for every potential search term that someone may use to find their product or service. But we actually go a step further than that. So, I mean, what you typically find in advertising, I would say 90 to 95% of online advertising, is a real gear towards basically the numbers. You know, I think the analytics and stat programs out there have done a great job to show us insight into how websites are growing. But the downside to that is that a lot of people have really turned consumers into numbers or into just statistics, and anybody who's run a brick and mortar company knows that that's, you know, the easiest or fastest way to failure. Let me give you an analogy using, say, Walmart. The advertising I see today is very similar to you walking into Walmart, finding somebody who has a blue smock on, and asking them where to find running shoes, and having that associate answer, Walmart, official store, we carry more for less, shop now. Right? So now you're sitting there and wondering, well, there's obviously a big communication breakdown here. So you dumb it down a little and say, shoes, I'm looking for shoes. And at that point, the associate looks at you and says, Walmart, official store, we carry more for less, shop now. There's clearly no communication going on in that case. And now for the few people who do actually, you know, agree with the person or click into the ad in our case, what's happening most cases is you go and ask for shoes, and the person says, Walmart, official store, blah, 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 and you say, fine, I would like to shop now, lead me to it. And that associate taking you by the hand, bringing you to the front of the store and dropping you off at the door. Right? So the overall customer experience in that entire situation is just clearly there's a lot missing there. So what we want to do is we want to look at all the potential search terms someone would use to find your business and communicate directly and relevant, you know, in a relevant manner to what they're looking for. So if somebody's looking for shoe stores in Ottawa, then what we want to do is have an ad that says Ottawa's top shoe store. There's hundreds of shoe stores in Ottawa fighting for your business. We'd rather earn it. And then if the searcher followed up the query with women's dress shoes, we would now want our ad to read, shop for women's dress shoes. Freedom's about choice. We have 397 styles of women's dress shoes. Live free, shop now. So that experience is going to bring people into your store in a better environment, in a better manner, and likely because of that experience, you're going to see a much higher conversion rate on your site.
This brings up a question, and because I remember my initial experience with Google paid search, in getting it going. By the way, it is best before you invest in that to talk to somebody like Steve because if you try to learn on your own, you can make some very costly mistakes.
That's very true.
One of the things that I kind of got an impression of when I was researching it and learning my way about it was that you want to make sure that your site has very specific and relative content to what you're doing.
That's a very good point.
Okay, and more or less that you need to be somewhat found by Google before you start spending money on paid search. Is that correct?
I'd actually say that you want to do the opposite. So if I was to start a website tomorrow, what I would want to do is first go into a paid search program, and while that's running or subsequently after, what you'll want to do is work on your search engine optimization and building into the organic or natural results. The two, according to Google, the two have nothing to do with each other. So if you're being shown in paid search, it doesn't affect your organic search. And there's a lot of controversy whether that's true or not, but I guess that's a conversation for another day.
Right.
But yeah, so essentially what you really want to do is you want to start off with paid search, and the reason for that is because it could take you, as I'm sure you know, weeks, months, or years to get ranked anywhere in the top few pages, or let alone first few spots for any given keyword. With search marketing, we can get you right in front of the majority of your customers starting tomorrow. By choosing the right keywords, the right ad copy, and the right landing pages. That level of control just doesn't even exist in natural results. You're really left up to the search engines to decide what text to show and what pages to put people on. With search marketing, you have full control over where, how, and when people shop on your site.
That brings back some more things when my dealings with Google. Because the way it kind of works is you put a campaign together in Google and you select keywords, I believe, and these keywords, you bid on those more or less, and you can start with a amount of money to bid on the keywords to show up in the paid search and the placement of those paid search. If you don't do it right, the cost keeps going up substantially, your bid, in order to get those keywords. And that was the dilemma I found myself in. I started watching the minimum bid go from, a few cents up into the dollars, and I wasn't doing something right. And Google is not very forgiving of that, by the way. If you make that mistake initially, you can wipe out that campaign totally and start over, but it seems to remember the results that you had gotten for your domain before, and immediately start you at the high bids because of their past experience with you. Is that correct, Steve?
That's very good insight. So the way it works is your overall account history comes into play when they're determining your quality score. Your quality score will do as much as decrease the amount of cost per click by up to 60%, or increase the amount you spend by up to 600%. Which would be somebody who's at a 1 out of 10 quality score. The quality score is determined by several factors. The most important one is your click-through rate. So clearly, Google wants to see ads that are getting clicked on the majority of the time, or at a healthy percentage. And the reason for that is, well, for their side, they're going to make more money if they can show an ad that's going to get clicked on more, which is, of course, the only way you would pay for that action, is if somebody clicks on it.
Right.
The quality score is probably the most important thing I can do for my clients, and like you had said, even by me coming on and creating a campaign for somebody, their account performance is still going to deter or raise the cost per click, and I would say 3 or 4 out of 10 of the clients I deal with, I actually have them open up a new account with a new credit card, new information, which you can do, and then that allows us to start fresh, start back at zero, and you don't get penalized with the Google slap, as it were.
The Google slap. That's
right.
Because I'm telling you, in my experience with the Google folks, the ones at least I talked to, although some shared some insights, they're very, very tight-lipped about how they do things at Google. They expect you to read the material that they provide and understand it before you give them that credit card number. They're not in the business to design campaigns. They'll offer to do that for a substantial fee, but there's still no guarantees on the results.
That's true.
What got you into this business, Steve?
Actually, I started at the very beginning. I had another business running back in 2002, and that's where I first learned about paid search and search marketing in general. And it was one of those things where as soon as I got into it, I realized how important it is. So with traditional media, so buying radio ads, magazine, newspapers, and television, you really have to guess at who your market is. And I mean, you can spend substantial dollars figuring it out to some degree, but at the end of the day, everybody is unique. Everybody thinks differently, makes decisions differently, and any given ad that you put in traditional media can only reach at best 50 or 60% of those people. The rest just think differently, act differently, and you're not speaking to them. With search marketing, it gives you full control, and not only do you get to see and